So hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now in this video I'm going to be talking about the top 10 animals I would like to see get remodels in this game. Now we have seen some really fantastic remodels recently from EW, from whitetail and moose to black bear and mallards, so there's a few species that I would really love to see get that same treatment, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So coming in at number 10 we have the red deer. So I'm going to shoot this level 6 and then we'll go and take a closer look at the model. But I do just want to say before we get any further into this video, this list is completely based off of my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with any of the animals I have listed or you think I should have listed a different animal instead, please do feel free to leave a comment and, start a discussion about it. That's basically the whole point of this video, is to start a discussion about which animals we'd love to see get a beautiful remodel like the moose or the whitetail, so absolutely do feel free. And yeah, this is just a little bit of fun and talking about my personal hopes for the future with some of these remodels. But taking a look at the red deer. Now the red deer isn't a really bad model. We're taking a look here obviously at a level 6 stag, and the overall models aren't actually too bad, but I do feel like the faces on the red deer are a little bit almost cartoonish, and I feel like there could be some more detail in the actual eyes and in the face and the nose. I think that if they did what they did to the whitetail with the most recent update with New England Mountains and just put some more detail into the face, that the models could be significantly improved, and I think that would be fantastic. Now moving on to number 9 on the list, and we have the black-tail deer. Now I have a decent level 4 here, so I will take this guy out with the 308 once that doe just stops there. Managed to drop him there, so now let's go and take a closer look at what the models actually look like for the black-tail deer. Now, again, the models aren't terrible, but I just think that they could be really improved, again, with the same treatment that the whitetail got. Some more definition in the fur coloration, and a little bit more detail in the face and the eyes, and I think that that would be really awesome to actually make the models significantly better. Also, talking about blacktail, I have to mention the tree racks. Would really love to see a redo of the tree racks and give them some better looking tree racks. Honestly, they look okay, but I think that they could be improved, and they would be, I think, a really nice animal to actually get one of these fantastic remodels, and I think that they could be a really nice then species, and maybe even a species that could be a very cool great one once they've had a remodel like that. Very beautiful looking animal, but I think that they could just do with some touch-ups to make them an even better species in game. Now, moving on to number 8 on the list, and we have another incredibly popular in-game species, this being the fallow deer. Now, the fallow deer are one that are quite close to my heart because we do actually have fallow deer here in the UK where I live, and honestly, I really do like the fallow deer in-game, but I think that they really could do with some better models. They are one of the original models in game, and as far as I know they haven't actually been changed other than having their tree racks added, and they are really starting to show their age in terms of model. They really could do with some improvements, again, especially around the face and the eyes. They are okay, and they do look like fallow deer to a certain extent, but they really need some improvements. And honestly, I think that the fallow deer would be an even more popular species if they did get some improvements, some more fur varieties maybe, just some different things for them. I'd love to see Menil added as a fur variety for them in game, but I think that they could just really benefit from a remodel. I think they'd be a really fantastic choice for it. Now, moving on to number 7, and we actually have 4 species combined for number 7, that being all 4 species of ibex on Quattro Calenus. Now, all of the ibex use pretty much the same model. As far as I'm aware, it might be exactly the same model, and they all could really do with some improvements. They don't really fit what ibex look like. They're okay models, but I think that they could do with some substantial improvements. Now, obviously, Quattro is getting on in terms of age now, now, so these are slightly older models, and I just really think they could be improved. Also, I think the scale of them might need changing. I think it's a little bit like what happened with Axis Deer, because when you take a look at things like Trophy Greedos Ibex in real life, they look substantially bigger. The horns, everything just looks a lot bigger than what we actually have in game right now, and I would really love to see them remodel the Ibex and give them a new breath of life, because I think a lot of people just kind of disregard the Ibex as really easy species to get diamonds on, and they don't get a lot of love, and I think that's such a shame when we only have the 4 Ibex species in game. I think it's such a shame that they just don't get the love that they deserve, but they really would benefit, I think, from remodels, especially again with the facial detail. They look a little bit goofy, and I think that they would really benefit from a remodel similar to the whitetail or the moose, and just give them a refresh, or again with like the Axis Deer and completely overhaul them. I think that would be really fantastic. Moving on to number 6, and we're here on Yukon Valley, and we have the grizzly bear. Now, the grizzly bear is an animal that I really think needs a remodel. I have never liked the grizzly bear models. They look really odd to me. Their faces just don't look right. When you compare the faces of these ones in game with actual real life grizzly bears, they just don't match up, and it's really a shame, because grizzly bears are a cool species. Everyone likes grizzly bears. You'll see it all the time, loads of questions about the grizzly bears. They're quite popular, but I really think that they would substantially benefit from a remodel to improve pretty much everything about them. And if you can imagine these guys getting the kind of remodel that black bear and brown bear have had, that would be awesome, because these guys just at the moment don't really compare when you take a look at the other bear species in game. They're not really up to par with them, and I think it's something to do with the face shape, and also maybe the fact of the snout being so short. I've been trying really hard to compare images between these guys in game and real life ones, and try and work out exactly what it is that makes them not look quite right. And I think that's the only thing I could really come up with. But I think even the bodies could do with a remodel as well. So I think that grizzly bear are way up there on the list of species that need a remodel, and they do definitely get talked about when we are talking about which species in game need the remodel. And I think, yeah, they would be a really cool one to actually see. Maybe even for a future great one, if they got a remodel and then a great one. I think that would be pretty awesome. But either way, definitely a species that would benefit from a remodel. Now, sticking with the theme of Yukon Valley, and at number 5 we have the caribou. Now, the caribou is a species I would absolutely love to see get a remodel in this game. I think they need a remodel for the models themselves, and I also think they need a rework for the tree racks. And that would obviously carry across to reindeer as well, as they use the same tree racks, but we are going to be talking specifically about the caribou. Now, the caribou models to me have never been great, kind of similar with the grizzly bear. I've always thought that they could do with some improvement. The faces just don't look quite right, and neither does really the neck. I think it's almost too chunky compared to some of the images you'll see online. It kind of makes them look too compact. I don't know if that makes any sense when I'm trying to say it like that, but they almost just look too small and odd. And I think that they could really do with a remodel that focuses on making them more realistic, because I love caribou. I think they're awesome as a species in real life, and I would love to see the caribou in game be a little bit better. Obviously with the tree racks as well, I think that they desperately need a rework to make them more realistic. They're one of my least favourite tree rack species in game, unfortunately, so overall I think the caribou could do with a really awesome rework. Now, coming in at number 4, we have a species from Virunga Savannah. We are going to be taking a look at the scrub hare. Now, the scrub hare might not be a lot of people's first thought when talking about species that need a remodel in game, but I really think the scrub hare would benefit from a remodel. And I think a lot of it is just due to the fact that they are one of the older models in game now, but when you compare them to some of the newer rabbit or hare models in game, they just don't really come up to scratch. And I think that they could really really benefit from some improvement. They don't look a whole lot like scrub hair do in real life, unfortunately. And I think that when the game released, they were pretty good, but I think now, with seeing some of the remodels and improvements, that we could really see some better models for these guys. And I think that that would be awesome, because getting diamond scrub hair is actually really hard, and I think it would be awesome if when you get one, they look even better. I think it would make it even more rewarding. You can see some of the textures don't look quite right now, and I just think some of the things that, you know, when, like I said, when the models were older, that they would have looked quite good, I think could just be really improved now. So these are a species that I really think would actually benefit from that remodel. So for me personally, the scrub hair is definitely up there on the list for remodels. Now, coming in at number 3, we have another species from Vahonga Savannah, this time the side-striped jackal. Now, the jackal have long been a topic of discussion when talking about animals in this game that need a remodel. The side-striped jackal could really do with some better models. They're a cool species, they're hard to hunt, hard to get diamonds of, but unfortunately the models just really don't look that great anymore. And I think, again, a lot of it is probably because of, you know, we have newer models in the game now, so we expect a little bit more, and I think that these guys with a remodel could be really awesome. Side-striped jackal in real life are really beautiful. They have some absolutely gorgeous fur, and I would really love to see the fur on these guys be a bit fluffier, and also the colours to have more definition. I think that that's something that you see a lot more when you look at pictures of these guys in real life, and of course the face really needs some reworking. The face and the eyes just really don't look right. They look really goofy. So that's something I would really love to see actually get a rework, is the side-striped jackal. And I think, like I said, they could be a really stunning species. And if they got reworked like the red fox did recently, I think they'd look so good in the trophy lodges, and I think they'd be a much more popular species to actually hunt just because of how beautiful they are. Now, moving on to number 2 in this list, and we have the European hare. Now, it was actually really tough for me to choose between the top 2 on this list, but this is one of the animals in-game that needs a rework the absolute most. The European hare, ever since they released, I've not been really satisfied with them. They look nothing like real life European hare. I strongly advise you to go and Google what a real life European hare looks like. They are absolutely gorgeous. We have them where I live, and I absolutely love seeing them. They are beautiful, and these are unfortunately not a good representation at all of what the European hare look like. It's really unfortunate, and I've always felt this way. I genuinely think this is one of the models in-game that is just in most desperate need of being remodeled completely. They really need changing. Just everything about them, the face, the ears, the coloration, they don't match a European hare in real life. So I really hope that one day we'll see these getting a complete full remodel, because in real life, like I said, European hare are absolutely stunning, and I think if they were more matched up in game, they'd be a lot more popular. And finally, the animal in-game that I feel needs a complete remodel probably the most is the bighorn sheep. Now, like I said, it was actually tough for me to choose between the European hare and the bighorn sheep as needing the remodel the most. The reason I've gone with the bighorn is because they need a rework on their tree racks, and they need a rework on their overall models as well, and also just because they are a bit more of a popular species to hunt. Now, when I actually dropped this level 4, it wouldn't let me claim it. So I got a quad bike out, tried moving it, it still wouldn't let me claim it. I pulled out the 243 and shot it, and then it let me claim it. I've never had this happen before, so that was really unusual as well. But yeah, I didn't really know what to make of that. But we have a level 4 bighorn here to take a look at. Now, the bighorn in this game are honestly one of the models, like I said, that I think needs work the absolute most. Ever since the bighorn came out with Silver Ridge Peaks, they have been talked about as needing remodels for both their true racks and for their overall body models. So let's talk about the horns on the bighorn to start off with. They are not correct to what you'd see in Bighorn in real life. They just don't look right. Bighorn don't have these really tight curls like that. And I will put some pictures on screen of Bighorn in the Hunter Classic, which are a much better representation of what Bighorn actually look like. These horns are not correct, and it even looks worse with the like level 5s when they have even more curl. It's just not right to what a bighorn should actually look like, and that just makes them look goofy, and I honestly would really love to see that get changed, because I feel like with the models that we have seen get reworked, as I've mentioned throughout this video, that the bighorn in this game could look so much better. I'll also include a couple of pictures of a level 5 diamond in my trophy lodge, just so you can see about what I mean about the insane curl on the horns. It looks kind of cool, but when you know what a bighorn should look like, it doesn't look correct, and that really bothers me. So I think bighorn are really up there on the list of animals that really desperately need a remodel. The models for them, for the actual bodies, also doesn't look quite right. The faces and everything is just not quite right. So I think if they could take bighorn back to the drawing board, give us completely new models, completely new true racks, I think that would be probably the best solution we could have. I really hope we see something like that one day, because at the moment no one is that keen on the bighorn models from what I understand. You hear it all the time saying that bighorn are probably one of the poorer models in the game and one that desperately needs rework. So I am hopeful that eventually we will actually see that. We have seen the remodels, as I've said, with several species recently, so I'm hopeful that eventually they'll get around to bighorn and we'll get some better looking bighorn models. But that is it for my top 10 list, but there are a couple of other species that I would like to mention as well that I would have included, but I was trying to do a kind of top 10, and trying to decide which ones to put in the top 10 was actually quite difficult. So honourable mentions, as I'm going to call them, are the Rocky Mountain elk and the coyote. Now, the Rocky Mountain elk, a lot of the same things as I've said throughout this video apply to the Rocky Mountain elk. I feel like the faces need a lot of work and a lot more detail to make them a bit more realistic, and the overall models in general could do with a lot of work to make them look more realistic, kind of similar to the bighorn. So that was a reason I didn't include them in this list as well, just because it would be saying a lot of the same stuff as I've said throughout this video. And also the coyote, the only reason that I didn't include that in this video is because they have had a little bit of a rework in the past. They have been, you know, slightly changed to be a bit more fluffy, but they could desperately do with a rework as well. So it was difficult to try and put all of the ones that I wanted to in this list, but I definitely think those two are ones that could do with remodels as well. But overall, these are the species that I think really could do with reworks in the future, and ones that I'm really hopeful that we will see reworks for. We're seeing it happen with more and more species, so I'm really quite hopeful that they will get round to doing many more species, and that's something I really look forward to. The remodels give like a completely new breath of life to these species when it happens. Like the red fox, they look completely new. It almost makes them like a new species. It's really fantastic. So I'm super hopeful that in the future we'll see more of these fantastic reworks, and that's basically what I just wanted to talk about with this video, is to give some appreciation for the reworks we've had, because they have been fantastic and they all look amazing. It is really awesome to see, and just to look to the future and hope that we'll see more of that coming along the line. But that is going to be it for this video, so thank you so much for watching and for all your support as always, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.